Hello, welcome to Rendering in Photoshop. I know many of you have already had some Photoshop experience, either with John Kleinpeter or with Julie Hurley, and what we're going to do is just build on all that fine training. And one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to use specifically the path tool so that we can use stroke and fill to create our renderings. Now I know this doesn't sound new to you, but we're going to do something a little different to enhance those these techniques. So let's begin by opening a file. So let's go to File, and we'll go New. And as usual, I'd like us to work 11 by 17. So I'm going to grab the 11 by 17. And 150 dpi is fine. We're not really doing any super fine renderings here. We're just going to do some sort of preliminary work, and then later as we get better at it, we can maybe notch it up to about 200 dpi. So let's go ahead and save that. Ooh, let me see. I think we might have one here that's 11 by 17. Oh, well, we can just flip the orientation here. So we have landscape. Okay. So now, in my case, I have a grid on. You don't necessarily have to have the grid. I'm actually going to disable it for now, so it's a lot easier to follow. And the tool we're going to use is the pen tool. So if you go over here to your toolbar, you'll go ahead and select the pen tool. And what we're going to do is, oh, by the way, we're going to come back and review all these pens, but I'd like you to select the first one. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag, and then we're going to close the loop at the very end. So let's go ahead and click, drag, click, drag, click. And every time I'm dragging, I'm taking my left button mouse off, or my left finger off the button mouse here. And let's click, let's drag and click one more time. And as we approach the very first one, you see how there's a little bubble that pops up? That kind of helps us align and know that we're going to make a connection to close that loop. Okay, so again, go ahead and hover. You see the loop, click once and move away. Okay, now if you're happy with that, I am. It's just a demo, but let's go ahead and click on our path window over here. Now I'm over here on the path window, and it says working path. Now what you always want to do before you go any further is double click that, or click it once. Okay, and the default will always say path 1, but what you want to do is maybe name it. In this case, we're just going to say shape, or main shape. Let's go main shape. Okay, and we'll click OK. All right, so we've created a path. And that path is going to allow us to do several things. The two most primary things we're going to use it for is to stroke a line to enclose the shape, and then we're also going to fill it to give it some value, give it some presence. Okay, so let's go ahead and click out of that. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer. So I'm going to go to my layer editor, click layer, add a new layer. Again, layer 1. We'll go ahead and name it again. Main shape. Okay, and we'll hit OK. And what that does is it reserves a layer so we can assign it either an outline, we can stroke an outline to it, or we can fill it. Okay, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create an outline to contain it, contain our drawing. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to path. Make sure it's activated. Now you'll know that it's activated because you'll see the line item, or actually the layer, become highlighted just like that. Okay, when you click out, you don't see it. See how it reappears? Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and use that path, and we're going to draw a line. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to our tools, and we're going to grab the brush tool. Okay. And I'm just going to select 12 points. It's a little thicker than I normally like to use. And the next thing you always want to do is go ahead and choose a color. And I'll usually choose a black line, and I'll try to choose it way at this other extreme side of the palette. Okay. And then what you're going to do is while the path column is open, you're going to go ahead and push this button right here. Again, way down over here. It's almost the last to the left, and it's going to click it once. You see how the line appeared? Okay. So that's how we would stroke a line. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to fill it. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to layers, and we're going to click layer. We'll add a second layer. Oops, sorry. We'll go layer 2, and we'll call that filled shape. Okay. All right, so now that layer is active. Okay, so you always want to make sure whatever you're doing next, you want to have a layer provided and ready to go. All right, so we're going to go back to the shape. Okay, see, it's deactivated, now it's active. Now we're going to go to the button right to the right of it, right next to here. You see, this is what we used before down here. Okay, right here. We're going to go to the one right down here, right next to it, and that's called paths. That's going to make our path active. So when I click on that, watch what happens. You see on screen, you see how you have like we call traditionally the marching ants. Okay, what that means is we're going to be able to now fill within that space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my bucket, and I'm going to select the color, and I'm going to select maybe a light gray to work with. Okay, hit OK. And if you like that value, let's go ahead and use that bucket. Right, we're using the bucket. We used the brush before. Now we're going to use the bucket, and we're going to go ahead and fill it with this value of gray. So when you're ready, and when the marching ants are on, and especially when you have a layer that's reserved for it, now you're ready. Okay, go ahead and left click it, and there you go. All right. So now you've stroked the shape, and now you've also filled it. So now we're ready to start on our rendering. Okay. So when you want to stop the ants from marching, you can either use select, deselect, and now stop it from rendering. Okay. And then what you can do is now either save this whole file, which is what we're going to do, and in the next video what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to sketch and shade within that shape. Okay, so stay tuned.